Good evening, everyone. This is the Bexhill Town Council Amenities Committee meeting held tonight on the 5th of June at 6 p.m. I'm opening the meeting as this is the first of this committee for this year, and members of the public will be able to speak, but that will be on item 3 after we elect a chair and a vice chair. So I will swiftly move on to the election of chair of this committee. Do we have any nominations for chair of this committee? Councillor Plim?
I'll nominate myself.
I would also nominate myself for this chair position. So we have any other nominations? So we have 2 nominations. So I'm going to use a strikeout vote. Mm-hmm. So we'll start with the person who was nominated first, which is Councillor Plim. All those in favour of Councillor Plim to be chair of this committee, please raise your hand. That is 1. The second nomination was myself. All those in favour of me as chair of this committee, all raise your hands. That's 4. So that appears that I've been elected to chair the Amenities Committee for the year 2024-25. So that means I stay in this position. So we now move on to item 2, which is to elect a vice chair. Do we have any nominations for vice chair of the Amenities Committee?
Got to give it a go again, haven't I?
Councillor Plim, do we have any other nominations for vice chair of this committee?
Can thank me. Yeah.
Are you nominating yourself, Councillor Brailsford?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That means we move to a strikeout vote. So this time, for a difference, we'll go the opposite way round, and I'll ask all those in favour of Councillor Brailsford to be vice chair of this committee, please raise their hand. 3. Thank you. All those in favour of Councillor Plim to be vice chair, all raise your hand. 1. So on a strikeout vote, Councillor Brailsford has been elected as vice chair of the Amenities Committee. Thank you very much and well done.
Okay, thank you. I'll sit here. Yeah.
So item 3 on the agenda is public participation. I can read out the words, but in effect any member of the public can speak for 3 minutes. Are there any members of the public who wish to take the public participation? Yes, sir. If you could kindly stand and move towards that microphone in front of Councillor Plim.
Thank you.
I'm making the assumption you're okay to be recorded.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. If you could introduce yourself.
Yes, my name's Steve Johnson. I'm chairman of Bexhill Heritage.
Thank you. The floor is yours for 3 minutes, sir.
Thanks very much. Well, I've been invited to come along to speak about 2 bus shelters because I understand that the Town Council is taking responsibility for bus shelters in the town. There are 2 Bexhill bus shelters that we're particularly enthusiastic about, so much so that we've had a chartered surveyor assess one for a complete restoration. That one is on Delaware Road. You may have noticed it. It's on the right as you go towards Ravenside.
Yeah.
And it's used extensively by Bexhill College students who cross the road there. It was erected as a memorial to a former mayor of this town, Councillor George Herbert Gray. He's responsible for quite a lot of the town's buildings one way or another, including what used to be called St George's Church, now the United Reformed Church, down Cantaloupe Road. The other thing about Gray is that he was a philanthropist. He was a wealthy man. He was land agent to the 8th Earl Delaware, and he became an estate agent. In those days, in the early part of the 20th century, estate agents were a little rarer than they are now, and he was a wealthy man. But as mayor, he realised that things were not good in Bexhill, and he was very keen at creating employment and supporting people who were down on their luck. And that's why the council decided to erect this memorial bus shelter, which they did in 1929. It is beginning to be at risk, and it's a shame because it's probably one of the most well-used bus shelters in the town. We, as I say, we've done a number of studies, one of which is a full costing of a repair and renovation. The cost would be about £9,000, including VAT. Bexhill Heritage would do some of the work, but we also need to bring in specialist services, and there's quite a lot of an allowance for scaffolding and screening, because it's quite a public area.
Yep.
The second bus shelter, I've probably used up most of my 3 minutes, but I'm hoping that the town clerk gave you a paper on this.
We have seen that, yes.
Excellent. So this is less expensive to repair, probably less useful, but just as interesting in its own way. It's of a similar period. It's a 1930s, 40s. We think it might even be early 50s. So it's a bit later, actually. But it is the only example of what's called a modern bus shelter in this town. And that's a name that isn't about, you know, it was built last year. It was built to a certain style, the Art Deco style that actually is the Delaware Pavilion style. It's lozenge-shaped. It's an experiment in reinforced concrete. But that concrete is probably amongst the best concrete in the town because it was properly built. We have costed a repair to that. In fact, it would be a full renovation at $3,850, including VAT. The labour cost on that would be nil because it would be done by volunteers. It's relatively simple, but not cheap, as you can see. There is one interesting complication with the first bus shelter I mentioned. It stands on land owned by the King, Crown Estate land. I haven't time to explain why that is, but it would also need a land transfer from the Crown Estate to the Town Council. That would not be a problem, but it would incur a solicitor's fee. Okay. So it isn't a robber shelter. I think they think it is, but it's not.
Okay.
So that gives you a little bit of background. I think I provided an email if you wish to ask me any questions by email or just phone me up. But what we'd like to do, to come to the punchline if you like, is to work with the Town Council on these two shelters and to effect a restoration using our resources alongside your own. We can provide a lot of labour, lots of expertise, a lot of goodwill. We're connected with builders, surveyors, solicitors, etc., who will work for free. So hopefully we can work together on them.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. I did give you longer than 3 minutes because there are no other questions and we have a 15-minute time slot. So,
well, thank you.
And it was
took
really
more than
interesting.
45 seconds the Prime Minister and the Leader of Opposition were given last night. So I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
We'll take all that on board and...
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Right, we now move on to item 4 of the agenda, which is apologies for absence. I'll ask the clerk whether they've got any apologies.
Councillor Ruston, if he's got some childcare problems tonight.
Okay, thank you. We'll accept that as an apology. Item 5, to receive declarations of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interest. Do we have any of those from around the table, please? No, good. Chair's announcement. Strangely enough, I have no announcements to make under this committee. So we move swiftly on to the 2 sets of minutes that we have, which is the minutes of the Asset Transfer Committee on the 17th of April. They've all been distributed and you've had the opportunity to read, so they are for notation. So I will initial and sign those. That's that one done. Thank you. I did notice on the climate, nature and environment in here it said that the town accessibility working group to be formed after the AGM. And we've had the AGM, so I'm not sure because it's not an agenda item on this one, so it might have to wait for the next one. Thank you very much. I'm going to make an assumption item 8 isn't happening.
No, we did have some delays in organising, and then Carol said she's got some friends over tonight, so it's going to be difficult. So
Okay.
I'll try and get it on the next agenda.
Okay. For the benefit of the film, we were going to be receiving a presentation. That's now not happening tonight. So, item 9, to appoint members of the Town Accessibility Working Group. So, I don't regrettably know anything about the Town Accessibility Working Group, how many members are meant to be on there. So perhaps you could help me, Julie, in explaining how many is meant to be on there.
It's a minimum of 3, but it can include, on top of those 3 councillors, it can include any other members of the public or specialists.
Okay. And is there a terms of reference for it all?
Yeah, it was approved at the annual meeting.
Okay. So it's literally to find 3 volunteers from this committee to sit on that working group. So, 3 volunteers from this committee to be appointed to the Town Accessibility Working Group. I'm looking for a show of hands.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
By all means.
Do they have to be members of this committee, or can it be councillors or anyone else?
Would you like me to look up the terms of reference for you?
Yes, please, sorry.
That's okay.
While I class looking up that, anyone else want to sit on that committee? You may have to go further afield to find 3.
The role of the Accessibility Working Group is to research the issues that are affecting the accessibility in the whole of Bexhill. The panel shall consist of 3 councillor members appointed by the Amenities Committee and an unlimited number of councillors and non-councillor members from any community organisations, residents and businesses should be invited to join. The group will arrange meetings as required, shall not be open to the public. The group will take into account all accessibility issues, including hearing, visual, dementia, frailty and hidden disabilities. The group will carry out an audit of current provisions in place for accessibility, present a set of recommendations to the Amenities Committee to inform the 5-year strategic plan, and produce notes of all the meetings. So that's the role. And it's 3 members from here and then an unlimited number of other councillors and non-councillors.
So if we can't find 3 from this committee, we don't have the working group?
No.
Okay. So that suggests if there aren't 3, then we won't have the working group. Councillor Bransford.
Yeah, I'd like to see what I can do with this.
Okay, that's 1. Thank you. Just need 2 more from this committee. Otherwise I'll have to defer it for 2 months until people have the opportunity to investigate whether they want to do that, or I don't have any choices. We've only got 1. We can't run a working group with 1 if it says 3, so we'll have to defer that until the next meeting.
Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, I can't have any questions from members of the
I
public.
have a question now, just saying, there were 3 of us and 2 of us.
I'm sorry, I can't discuss with a member of the public in a committee meeting.
because I'm a member of that committee.
But in this instance, I can't discuss it with you under our standing orders because you're in a member of the public rather than a member of this committee. I'll talk to you after the meeting. So we'll have to defer that to the next one. So item 10, public conveniences. 10A, Devonshire Square toilets to receive update and consider next steps. So you've had a document that our clerk has produced. I'll open it to the floor for discussion as to what people consider is the next step with this.
It's
Councillor Goss first.
it seems sort of fairly logical to carry on with the RDC contractor. If they're willing to do it, they don't cost as much as the others, and they seem to be willing to do it. They've carried on throughout.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, thank you. Councillor Plym.
Yeah, I was wondering whether we should. I mean, I agree with continuing at the moment with the current Rother District Council cleaners on there, but I think we should consider looking outside, thinking outside the box on this one, because from what I understand, the cleaners that we had employed to do this were rather taken back by the level of damage and condition that members of the public were leaving the facilities in. Maybe we should ought to consider employing somebody to be there on a more regular basis, who's could act as more as a pair of eyes or security there. So in fact, have someone stationed there as a cleaner, toilet attendant, and look at the cost that would be, as opposed to the cost of cleaning for a couple of hours or an hour a day or something, and then having them totally uncleaned and ripped apart by members of the public. At least if we had someone there whose sole job it was to keep those toilets clean, tidy, and keep an eye on them as well, we might gain in the long run, because we won't have the criminal damage done to the property whilst that person's employed to look after it.
Historically, I did suggest that because they do that at the Stade in Hastings, and there is very little damage at all to that, but it's a different environment. So I think, as I see it, there's a two-pronged to this. I think we don't have a lot of choice but to carry on with what we're doing now, and it makes logical sense to pay less and more, and it will depend upon what the consultants that we've appointed come back with as to what we're going to move them on with. And it also sits into 10C, which is a business plan strategy for public conveniences, which we don't actually have. So we could build all of that into one package, but it's quite a big piece of work to write that business plan along with everything else that the clerk and her team have to deal with. So I think for 10A, I think we should just deal with what's on the table now.
Could I just ask whether the company we're asking to look into the specialists, so to speak, have the remit to consider employing someone, or are they solely looking at a contract cleaning on a short-term basis?
I believe they were asked to look at a sort of bronze, silver and gold type approach to what we could do with it, and we're hoping that they will come back with some strategy over what that might look like. Yeah. So I don't think we've been prescriptive as to, in one of them you should employ somebody. That would be for them and their experience to come back to us, I'm hoping, but that remains to be seen, of course. So I think we'll have to wait on that one. I do have one question which I don't know whether our clerk can help me with. I believe we wanted 2 cleans a day on the contract that we did have. Is the contractor that Rother using doing 2 cleans a day, or is it just 1?
I haven't seen the contract.
No. I wonder whether that's why they're doing it cheaper. So I think we should just leave it as it is, but if we can clarify how many cleans there are in it. Councillor Brailsford.
Yeah, I'd just like to ask, and I think I suggested this previously, whether if we could adjust the opening hours of this facility to when the commercial businesses are working, from say 9 to 5:30.
Yeah.
I don't know what time this damage was incurred, or the extent of it, or how regular it is. If we did have a cleaner and an attendant employed, it's got to be a 7-day-a-week job. It would have to be a job share. So, yeah, but I just wondered what people would think about reducing the opening hours. Because in the evenings, if anyone's going out somewhere, they should have a loo there.
We've already done
We've done some
Oh,
work
you've done
on
it,
that,
have you?
yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
it. That was agreed, through you, Chair, that was agreed in the original contract with the cleaning contractor that we took on as the council.
Right.
So then when Rother stepped in to help us, they reverted, rather than their old opening times, to the times that we agreed with the contractor. So that's already happening.
Right, what were they?
I can send you a copy of the contract.
Yes, please. Yes, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
So for the purpose of this meeting, are we saying that for now we're all agreeable to carrying on using Rother District Council until we have a business plan in place as to what we're going to do and get the answers from our specialist? Councillor Pym?
When are we expected to get a report back from the specialist?
I don't know.
They're attending on the 9th of July to do their site visit, and then they'll put all the paperwork together, so it should be by the end of July, I'd hope.
Okay, and our next meeting is?
End of June and then, sorry, this one.
4th of September.
Right, okay, so realistically we should have a report back by September in which to put something forward for the next financial year.
It would be disappointing if we haven't, yes. Yeah. So, is that what we're agreeing to? I would need a motion to say yes, we agree with the Appendix C, item 10A, that we carry on with that.
Yeah, I'll that motion.
Okay, proposed by Councillor Goss. Need a seconder, and we'll go for a show of hands. Councillor L. Show of hands that we're agreeing to that. That's unanimous that we've agreed to that, pending all the other work that is being done. Okay.
Sorry, can I just clarify? Do we need to vote on the proposition about having a cleaner and attendant employed at the moment, or is that just a long-term plan?
I think that will be part of a business plan strategy,
Right.
and when we've got the answers on the bronze, silver and gold from our specialists, we
Okay.
can then add that in if we want to.
Right, thank you.
I would suggest. Okay. 10B, to note update on Couden-Sea Road toilets to be reopened from Bexhill Rail Action Group, also known as BRAG. I tried to find any emails on that. Could you perhaps help us with that, Julie, and tell us what the situation is with Couden-Sea Road?
Through you, Chair, I circulated the emails that Yolanda sent, which explained about that it's used a lot by all sorts of activities down there, and they are lobbying you to open the toilets.
Yeah, they're asking for us to reopen it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because Rother District Council have advised them that there is no plans for them to open.
No, okay. So, you Councillor Pym?
If Rother District Council have got no plans to open them, why are they asking us to lobby Rother District Council to open them?
I think it seems like it is rather telling Bexhill Rail Action Group to lobby us because they're not going to open it, to get us to open it, which we've already made our decision on that. So it's a round circle scenario.
This seems to be happening quite a bit. We've got a group in Norman's Bay that wanted to run the toilets there, and they're going to Rother District Council as a community group saying we could do this, we could do that, and Rother are saying no, go to the town council. So they're prepared to go through a system of subletting, which will in effect what will happen, rather than let directly to them.
So
it's a ludicrous situation.
it is, and when I get to the next leaders meeting, which I'm hoping for some dates to come through, I will have that face-to-face conversation with the Rother leaders, because Councillor Brailsford and myself last year had numerous conversations about it, and we need to stop all this circulation because people just get frustrated with it and it's no good for anyone.
Yeah.
And we need to stop criticising everybody else and just worry about what we're doing. And that's the way it should be. So this action says to note it, we've read it, so it is where it is. Councillor Brailsford.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that at our last leaders' meeting, I asked, they were going to have a strategy meeting, and I asked if they could send us a review of what their position is and what their stance is on the toilets, and whatever it is, if we could have a final opinion, then we could put it to us and we could draw a line under it and make a final decision, because there were toilets that weren't on their list of reopened ones. So, for example, Little Common in Sidley predominantly, and they said they hadn't got any definitive plans about those, and I asked whether we could have that information so we can make a decision and move on from this. It's been going on for long enough, in my opinion.
Yeah, a line needs to be drawn somewhere and
Yes.
decisions made.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because there's a long chain of bureaucracy that you have to get through to make a decision on both sides of the Town Council and Rother Council. So I will raise it again next time we get a meeting with Rother. Councillor Griffin.
Would you need a motion from this committee to enable you to lobby on behalf of the Bexhill Rail Action Group to get the toilets opened via or will it be something you could do without any committee motion?
I don't think it needs a motion, in my opinion. Our clerk might have a different opinion, but we're just going to go there and share the information that we've been given. And I've had some correspondence with Bexhill Bowls Club, who are having some similar issues. They're going to be taking on some extras, and they can't, rather will not communicate with them, and I don't understand why. So I think it's really important that we understand what the blockage is for all of these things. And a lot of it is bureaucracy and processes and protocol, and someone's on holiday, blah, 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 and everything just stops. And people are forgetting that it's residents of our town that are being impinged by this, and we need to rise above that and get the right decisions made for all concerned. So it will be on the agenda at the next leaders meeting, which we're waiting for some dates from Rother. They normally give us 2 or 3 dates and then we find one of them. It's meant to be in June, but with varying other things that are going on in the world at the moment, I don't imagine that's that high on the priority. So that is just to note that. 10C, to consider a business plan strategy for public conveniences. Now, this agenda item has been on the asset transfer for many, many months, and we haven't actually ever got round to writing a business plan over what we want to do. So I think this is our last chance to say, do we want to have a business plan strategy for public convenience as to what we want to do, or do we want to just remove that from future agenda items and just plod along with what we're doing now? Because that's what we are doing. We don't have a plan as such. As something happens and crops up, we deal with it. Councillor Goss.
There's not really much to develop a plan on at the moment. I mean, we've taken over one, which we're trying to get the lease from British Rail for, Network Rail. The rest of them, nothing much has happened. So at this stage, there isn't much to plan on.
Okay. Councillor Flynn.
With regards to that, I think we should at least have a business plan or strategy for the toilet that we do now currently manage. And therefore I would like to suggest that we enter in some negotiations with Network Rail to see what the possibilities are of developing the site that we're currently managing. For example, when you look at the facade of the building, it's very weary and looks quite boring brick building, and we could quite easily work with an organisation such as Wave Arts to gentrify or beautify that area a little bit more and make it more appealing. At the same time, long term, discuss with Network Rail about the footprint that they've got there and whether they can actually, we could possibly look into extending that footprint and producing sort of more extra facilities there. For the people of Bexhill. And no doubt it's something we could possibly look at to the town board in order to work with us and help us out in that sort of area as well. So I think the strategy, although small, would have a dynamic effect because it's right in the centre of town, and it will show that we can sort of manage and improve facilities within the town. And in partnership with Town Board, Network Rail, and let's hope Rother District Council. Well, we know we won't have to bother about Rother District Council, really. But at least we can see we can develop, not just happy with what we got, develop what we've got.
The Town Board is an option because that is for CAPEX, so capital investment. but it won't be until year 4 of it because we'll miss a time slot to put any ideas forward for the first 3 years. So we have time to think about that in year 4 or onwards. So, okay, Councillor Bransford.
Yeah, sorry, I was thinking along the same lines as you, Councillor Plym, as far as this is concerned, about the interior of the toilets and comparing it with the bridge, which is very popular with residents, and it's got local people's artwork there. And I wondered if Wave Art might be encouraged to do something similar in the loos, just to reflect that and give the area a bit of its own character. And it'll give a bit of interest, and maybe people will be more interested in preserving it and make, if it looks nice than if it just looks like a utility building.
So all of those are potentially great ideas, but we've got to wait for this visit in July and a report hopefully by September. So maybe the answer is to leave 10C there until we get the report from the external consultants that we've recruited and see what they say, and then build up on that, and then that would in effect make the business plan. So we're happy with that, just to leave that there until we get the answer and think about what else we can do with it. Because at the moment we don't know, we need to meet with Network Rail to see how flexible they are.
In the meantime, I'd suggest that we do make inquiries with Network Rail to see if they are flexible. Rather than wait till September, just ask them the question.
Okay.
Would you like to work with us in partnership to develop that area?
I'm not sure how easy it is to get hold of Network Rail. Maybe our clerk can.
Yeah, I talk to them on a regular basis.
Okay. So is that something that you'd be able to sort of discuss with them in preparation for September meeting? Okay.
From my experience, they will probably be quite in favour of it. I mean, the only thing is expanding the footprint may be difficult because I don't think they own the footpath and all that around it. It's just that bit that's part of the station. But
Okay.
yeah, Network Rail normally sort of like.
I don't know why they wouldn't be, because we'd be improving their property for them. So, but if our clerk can get hold of them, then we can set the scene. Councillor Bransford.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add to that the Channel View East toilets that we decided we'd take a lease on because it's an integral part of the building. I understand that the RDC property manager was having a look because there was a right of access involved in the rear of the building. So hopefully by the time September comes, they would have been able to advance the situation when we hopefully will be able to have a lease to review and see if we can what we can do to improve that area.
Yeah, and there was an issue with the land registry. They had to get it registered at land registry correctly, so they had to spend some money in getting the footprint designed and registered correctly. So that's a delay in that. So it's all building up that by September we may be able to make some decisions alongside having the discussions at the leaders' meeting with Rother. Are we all happy with it with 10C? Good, then I shall move on to item 11, CCTV. To note awaiting meeting dates from Sussex Police. That's a little bit disappointing really, isn't it? But I guess busy.
They had the PCC elections, didn't
Yeah.
they? So we were on hold for that period.
Are you getting any blockages at all in them contacting us?
No, they just had
Okay.
the elections and there's other things
Okay.
going on. So
Okay.
we're back on now. I don't know how the general election might affect them now
Yeah, good.
with resourcing.
Yeah.
So I'll just keep pushing them.
Yeah, okay. Item 12.
Oh, sorry, I wanted to
Sorry,
say,
yeah,
I wanted to add something to that. I wanted to ask whether there's been any update regarding the Safer Streets grant of the 30% of the CCTV maintenance costs for 24-25 for our CCTV system. We were advised about this when the transfer of this was first presented to us by Rother District Council, and I know that Clark's been really inundated with work, but I wondered if there's been any opportunities to make a claim on that, or what the position is, please.
Because that was one of the big selling points, that for the first year it was only going to cost us 70% of it because of the grant. Is there any progress on that, Julie, please?
No, through Chair. The Town Council doesn't apply for the grant. It's all dealt with by the police.
Oh.
So that's what we're waiting for the meeting with the police to find out their update on where they've got to with everything.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay. Item 12, Bexhill Wild Doomsday Project. This is just to note a few things. David Dennis is, well, you can read it on the agenda. I'm not going to waste my voice reading it. But there are things going on. you've seen the email about the position on the CIC, so we're going to have to wait and see what happens with that. And 12A3 to receive end of year 1 report.
Sorry, Chair, have we actually applied for a position on the Coombe Valley CIC? Because I noticed that the paperwork says that they suggest we apply, so I don't know whether we've actually applied.
Very good question. I don't know. Have we applied for a councillor to go on to?
No, because I can't make that decision, so that's for you to make tonight.
Okay. So, and is that from this committee or any councillor?
Would you like me to read what they said?
Yes, please.
Coombe Valley.
I think the gist of it is that they want us to apply. Once we've got membership as a body, then we decide who's going to represent the body on that position.
It says, the directors of the Coombe Valley Countryside Park CIC met on April 24th and agreed it would be easiest if the town council applied for membership. If accepted, it could then nominate someone to be a director. I don't think there will be any opposition to the TC becoming a member. The 4 current council members, East Sussex, Rother, Hastings and Crowhurst, have the right to nominate 1 director each, enshrined in the Articles of Association. When the articles were recently amended, it was decided not to add Bexhill Town Council, since the intention is to keep the councils as a minority on the board. The Board of Directors chooses up to 6 directors from these nominated by members and can co-opt 2 more directors. At the moment, there are only 5 non-council members, one of which is inactive. There are only 4 directors nominated by members, and so at the moment places for 2 more. I've included Ben Coles. Oh, so he was included in that email. So it's you as a corporate body applying, and then you could nominate a member of the council to be a director. But it looks like they're saying they already have quite 4 current council members, and they don't want more council members than individuals.
Yeah, because otherwise the ratio would be slanted towards council members rather than non-council members. So, is it for this committee to decide whether we want to be a member? And is there any cost involved, or?
We haven't investigated anything yet, so that's for you to decide what you want to see tonight.
So, what does this committee believe?
So I put a proposal that we ask the clerk to write to inquire as to membership of the Coombe Valley CIC.
Investigate or to become a member?
Investigate, become a member for this body.
Is it to investigate to become a member or to become a member? Because if you're investigating, you're not committing to become a member.
Okay, we're asked to become a member of the of the Coombe Valley CIC.
Okay. So that's a motion. So do we have a seconder for that motion? Councillor L. So a vote on that, please. All those in favour of clerk writing to Coombe Valley asking to become a member of their, I don't know if it's an association or their CIC, no, their structure. All those in favour? Okay, that is unanimous. And 12A3 to receive the end of year 1 report from David Dennis. Have we all had that? So that is for noting. So moving on to item 13, environmental matters. To note, welcome to Bexhill signs pending installation. Okay, that's good.
Can we just ask about the signs? Have we got a date when they will be fitted at all? And are we covering all the A roads with new signs?
It wasn't on a committee I've been on before, so
No, I can't remember
I'll answer
offhand
that.
whether we were.
I would imagine it would be to replace all the current welcome to Bexhill signs.
It's on the CME committee one. It's install 4 signs, replace the 2A 259 signs, replace an infield road sign and a new sign on Coombe Valley Way.
Okay, so there's 4 A roads, either end of the 259, the 269 going up Ninfield Road, and then you've got Coombe Valley Road. So we're replacing 2 of them, 2 of those sites. Should we now consider replacing the other 2 sites? And so we get corporate coverage at all the boundaries.
We're replacing 4 signs.
Yeah, that'll be each way. There and back, north and south, east and west. So it will be 4 signs on 2 locations.
I'm confused. What have we got ordered, Julie, for the amount of signs that we're having? Is it 4 signs, and is it in and out Infield Road and going north? They're the 4 signs. What other signs are needed?
If I can explain a little bit more, 259 runs through.
Yeah.
So you've got an in and out on the east side of the 259, and an in and out on the west side of 259. You've also got in and out on the north side of the Ninfield Road, and an in and out of the Coombe Valley Road. So there's 4 locations. We're only replacing 2 locations as far as I'm aware. So are we considering replacing the other 2 locations?
Is the welcome not only on the in?
It's not
You're
on
not
the
saying
out.
goodbye to them.
I don't know. I don't know.
It's not on the out. It's only on one side.
I'm just saying whether we're having that. I'm not too sure.
On the Ninfield Road sign, there is only welcome to Bexhill. There's not a thank you, goodbye from Bexhill. There is only one sign on as you come in through from Hurstman Zoo side down into Bexhill. There's only one sign, so it must be the same on the others.
So we're replacing the 4 welcome in signs.
Yes.
Yeah. Is that correct?
Well, replacing 3 and adding 1.
Yeah,
Just
replace
ask the clerk if that's correct.
So you're replacing 3 existing signs you're replacing. So that's the 2 existing signs on the AT59 you're
Yeah.
replacing with the new one. You're replacing the Ninfield Road sign, and you're putting in a new sign on Coombe Valley Way
Okay.
coming into Bexhill.
And they're all the in signs, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so now bear with me. Now begs me to the next particular question I want to come to. There are further 4 roads that enter into Bexhill, and they are B roads. They are the Watermill Lane, Potman's Lane, Wydown Road, and the Coast Road at Norman's Bay. Would we consider putting signage up on a smaller version on those B roads, just to mark the boundaries there as well? Just an idea.
My personal view, and it's for this committee to decide, it may be a step too far. A lot of people don't like unlimited signage around the natural beauty, and some of those roads through Crowhurst, Watermill Lane and Herbrand Walk are considered more of a natural beauty than a main road. So it may be a step too far, but I'm open to a debate. What do people think?
Maybe the one of most significant importance would be the one in Norman's Bay, because it's very unclear as to where the boundary is down there. And that's out in the open.
I think probably the answer is, may I suggest that you put it as an agenda item when the welcome to Bexhill signs are in there for a debate as to whether we want to do that.
Okay.
And treat it as a separate entity, because it really is a separate entity to these that have already been agreed, and then we'll debate it then. Is that fair? Yeah. Okay, good. 13B, Town Rangers. We all know that's not being progressed at the moment, so that's for information. 13C, to note the climate event is booked for the 13th and plans are underway. I'm sure we'll all be there.
Have we got a date for that? A time for it, rather?
There was an email, I think it was
13th of July, but there was no time yet. I don't know if there is one yet.
No, because it depends on the guests that we've got coming. But it'll be like before, it'll be in the morning through to midday probably.
Yeah. Bexhill in Bloom to receive any updates. I don't think, are there any updates from Bexhill in Bloom?
The judges are arriving soon.
Oh,
Yeah, so they've been working really hard on their portfolio and getting ready for the judging. So, yeah, so it's all systems go.
did I read somewhere that they were going for a national award as well as a local award this time? So, okay, that's good. 13B, B stocks to consider project next steps. Again, this is a new subject to me, so I don't know that much about it. Perhaps you could give an overview, Julie, on B stops and where we currently are, as it says next steps. There must have been some to start with.
Again, I circulated this all to everyone on the 22nd of May. So it was raised by Bexhill-on-Sea to Councillor Brailsford when she was mayor, that they wanted the town council to consider planting on the top of bus shelters, which attracts bees and other insects. And they were suggesting that it could be a multi-agency project between Town Council, Rother District Council and Stagecoach and Bexhill-on-Sea. So it was asked to put on an agenda. It's been on an agenda for a little while and we haven't made any decisions yet. So it's still there.
I'll go this way, Councillor Brailsford.
All right. I understood, I did speak to Councillor Polly Gray, and she was considering coming along to talk about this project because she's very interested in getting it off the ground, but I don't know if she actually was able to attend one of the C&E meetings, whether she did or not, because I wasn't on that committee, so she hasn't.
No.
So when I spoke to her, I think she said that they were interested in maybe we're going to have some new bus stops built. I think 4 of them. They're going to be built by East Sussex County Council at no expense for us, but we'd be involved in the maintenance of them ongoing. And she wondered if one of those could be adapted for one of these bee stops. And I think you have to have special materials put on the roof of them. And I think it was something in the region of £8,000 to get one of these set up for this.
Okay.
So that's as much as I know. That's probably everything I know.
Okay.
I think if East Sussex want to do it for her, fine. But I think they would need to change the style of bus stop of the type, because structurally, by the time you've got a layer of earth on the top holding water, it's probably going to need a lot of beefing up to stop it caving in on people. So, I mean, are they talking to East Sussex as they're providing the bus stops?
I'm not sure, because that's just one conversation that I had. And
Okay.
yeah, I'm a bit of a basic Philistine with things like that, and I'm thinking £8,000 would buy a lot of pot plots that would entertain the bees a lot more than
That's true.
making them.
I'll move round to Councillor Plym.
Just reading through the email that was circulated around to us, or text message that was circulated around to us, is from Brett McLean of Bexhill-on-Sea, and he's just asked the question: do you think there is a way of a multi-agency project between Bexhill Town Council, Rother District Council, Bexhill-on-Sea and Stagecoach South East being formed so that bee stops could become a reality? I think this committee should come back to him and say, yes, we do think there is a way. Please go ahead and organise it, and we will actively participate in it and see what we can do to help you.
Okay. Councillor Earl, anything to add?
It is something we've spoken about before, and as Councillor Brailsford has said, I don't see much point of having them on top of a bus stop when you've got, I know it's not going to sound nice now, but when you've got children waiting for a bus eating their ice cream, when you've got people under it with all sorts of insects, all sorts of growth, that's going to be another bit of maintenance that we're going to have to do. That could look very lovely and it could be very helpful to the bees. It's going to have a lot of maintenance involved in it. They are going to need beefing up. It's going to be very heavy. I just don't see them being practical for what they're trying to achieve. We could do a lot more. I'm not saying don't save the bees. We like the bees. We want to do as much as we can for them. I know there's a lot of efforts in some of the allotments in Bexhill at the moment regarding bees, but I can't see why it has to be on top of the bus shelters.
Yeah, I think, to put my 2 pennies in, I have a concern over who would take legal action against who if somebody died following an anaphylactic shock from a bee sting.
Yeah.
And if it's our bus stop, will we be held responsible if there's bees being attracted from flowers and stuff on top of it? I don't think we know enough about it to be able to say yes or no. So maybe the answer is to reply to the gentleman that Councillor Plym has said has emailed, to say yes, go ahead and investigate and come back to us and see what happens next, because yes, we are responsible for them, but there is enough vegetation and flowers around Bexhill with the amount of no mow and reduction in the grass cutting that there's going to be and all the wildflowers that there are, is putting flowers on a bus stop going to save the bee population? Because bees are absolutely crucial to our environment, there's no doubt about it. But I personally don't know enough about it, and I'd like to have somebody to come and present to us, and if that is Brett, then so be it. Councillor Plim.
Yeah, I think that's the way forward, rather than dismissing it out of hand straight away when we haven't got the relevant information.
Yeah.
It's not a harebrained scheme, it's not something he's just thought of himself. It's something that has been done up and down the country, and it's not something you just pile up and put a load of turf on top of a bus stop that's ready. You just deal with it. As the question asked, is there a way of a multi-agency project between Bexhill Town Council, Rother District, Bexhill and Bloom, Stagecoach South East? If they want to run that multi-agency, and they're just coming to us to be part of it, find out, that's our way of finding out.
Yeah.
So let's reply in the positive rather than the negative, and say, go and have a look, come back to us, and once you've got the multi-agencies coming on, we're willing to get involved.
Okay.
We're not saying we're willing to pay a load of money for it, we're not saying we're going to put it onto our budget or anything like that, but we want to find out about it. And let's hope the other 4 agencies will find out about it and see whether it is possible.
Yeah.
If it is possible, good. If it isn't possible,
Okay.
fair enough.
So that's a motion from this committee.
Can I just say one more
Yes,
thing?
of course.
Sorry. The photograph that was supplied was an image taken of a Leicester City bus stop, and that is active, and obviously it's going to, whoever's going to do a bit of research may want to get in touch with them and see what the results were, what the benefits of it are.
You would think whichever person is going to take the lead on this multi-agency would do some investigative work
Yes.
first.
Yeah.
So, okay, so that sounds like we've got a motion to reply to Brett to say, yes, we'd like to be a part of it without any commitment of anything, but come back to us when it's all set up. Is that what you're proposing?
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
I'm sure our clerk can put words appropriate to that motion. Just need a seconder for that, please.
I'll do that.
Councillor Brailsford. All those in favour of that, please show your hands. Unanimous to do that. Thank you. So we move on to Highways Matters. Item 14A, to note no update for SLR meeting, which the 2 councillors on there, as it was part of CNE, were Councillor Plim and Councillor Thomas. Councillor Thomas is not on this committee, so we would need to put another councillor in there out of this committee to be on that if there is ever going to be a meeting.
We've got a date, 15th of July, I think, at 3 o'clock. I'm just checking.
So that's good. So we need a volunteer to go along with Councillor Plim at whatever.
Yeah, 15th of July, 3 p.m.
3 o'clock.
Have we got a location?
Not yet, no. I'm trying to get it at the hub,
Yeah.
because I want them to come to Bexhill.
Yeah.
What is SLR?
Councillor Plim, what is SLR, please?
Strengthening some relations.
Local
relations, yeah.
Between.
Between the road highway agencies and Bexhill.
Okay.
Is that East Sussex primarily?
Yeah.
Or the Highways Agency itself?
No, the East Sussex Highways agencies, yeah, rather than national.
Okay. So I'm looking for a volunteer to go along with Councillor Plim.
You don't have to have 2 councillors, we just chose 2, so
Okay.
if it's just Councillor
I
Plim,
would
it's fine.
I think I can make it then. So.
Did you want to go along, Councillor Goss, to that? Or?
But I would do, but I think I'm in the middle of a load of building work there,
Okay,
so I think
all
I
right.
should be able to.
Are you okay to go on your own, Councillor Plim?
I'm out of the way.
Okay, good. Thank you. 14B, to note no further action, no further update on request for new grit bin inspection. Okay, they can't be that bothered, or there's no snow around. 14C, to note contract and specification has been requested from contractor for
Bus shelters.
bus shelters. Okay. Okay, so we're waiting for that. Good.
Sorry, is that on the asset transfer, which is now part of this committee? It's talking here about contractor transfer to the town council, contract inspector follow.
Yes.
A future meeting. Do we know what we're working to? If we've taken it over?
At the moment, we don't. We're waiting for the update that's been requested from the contractor. 14D is to consider the request for support from Bexhill Heritage, as you heard them speak earlier on in the meeting, regarding the 3rd Avenue Memorial Bus Shelter on Delaware Braid. So I thought Steve spoke very well. They're very interesting. They are historic. They are ours. What do we want to do with them? Councillor Flynn.
Yeah, I feel we should fully support this project. One question I asked is would the money, yet to be decided, come from SIL money or from current money budget within this committee?
I would imagine that would be for us to decide. It is infrastructure. I would call it infrastructure, bus stops. So, and we do have over 80,000 in SIL money,
Yeah.
and some of it is over 2 years old. So we could, I believe we have to contact finance to ask that to be set aside for this specific project. So it's simply, if we want to support Bexhill Heritage, we could use some of that SIL money. It would be using half of that, the oldest SIL money that we've got, and it would refurbish 2 of the older ones to make them look much nicer, in better condition, and particularly one of them that is used a lot of the time. That will go downhill quickly if Bexhill Heritage don't do something about it via us. Councillor Al.
It was a very good presentation, and it was very interesting and very useful to know some of the facts behind it. I'm 100% for supporting this. I've been in talks with my counterpart, Gareth Delaney, as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm 100% behind it.
I think it would be very good if we did do that. That's just my opinion. Councillor Goss.
It sounds like a good idea. I mean, it might even improve what we have to maintain.
It would.
We're supposed to be maintaining it anyway, and it's falling down. We've got to do something.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that as well. I think it's part of our role to turn eyesores into assets.
Yeah.
And they're both part of our past, and if they were restored to the condition that they're aiming for, it could be a real credit to our town.
Yeah.
And from what Steve Johnson was saying, if it's going to be a land transfer, it's got to be done to the town council anyway. That gives you an asset.
Charge people for looking at it.
Yeah.
No.
Councillor Flynn.
Away from RDC.
Yeah. Does this committee need to now agree a budget for this project? Because I know that he spoke about the Delaware Road shelter,
Yeah.
and said in the region of £9,000. Although there's nothing written down here that sort of aligns to that. And the other project in Bexhill was £3,500.
Yeah.
So would we like to sort of possibly propose a budget for this to ring fence in order to sort of go forward for finance, and sort of hopefully they will accept it as well, because they haven't had a history of committing any money to this committee at all. Really, it's been neglected a lot of the time and thrown back. So hopefully it doesn't happen this time.
They did agree to 65,000. So I think it's probably going to be somewhere around 15,000 in total with legal stuff as well. So that's where I would set the budget at, with what I've heard tonight. It's just understanding how we go to ring fence 15,000, that 25,000 oldest money. Could you just explain to this committee, Julie, what we have to do?
Yeah, you'd recommend it to full council. We removed the checks of SIL money from the finance committee in the review, so it'll go straight to full council.
Okay, then I think we should do that as a recommendation from here. But it obviously needs a motion, so I need somebody to put a motion forward that we recommend £15,000 to do the work on these 2 bus stops in support of Bexhill Heritage.
I couldn't have put it better myself, and I agree with that. So
Okay.
I'll put that motion forward.
Okay, we've got a proposal and a seconder to go to full council All those in favour, please. Excellent. Right, we move on to allotment sites. You've had the allotment reports. If we do Sidley House first. Is there anything of concern that people are wishing to discuss? Otherwise they are just an update on where we are. Not having been involved in allotments before, I would say there's an amazing change around from the condition that they were in, and there's a lot of work being done on it. Still more to do, but a lot of it being done. So I'll go around the table this way this time. Councillor Plym.
Yeah, I noticed that there was a request for higher fencing. I'm referring to the Norfolk Close Preston Road site.
Can we just do Sidley House first?
Oh, sorry.
Because that's first on the
First. And I think the same will apply there, actually. Although not to that extent, but where was the fencing? There was a suggestion of fencing, I think.
The fencing was on the Norfolk Close one.
Yeah. Oh, ignore me then.
Okay.
I've got nothing to say about it.
I'll come back to the next one afterwards. Councillor Goss.
Just RDC are cutting one side of the hedge down there. It's easier to ask them to get their contractor to cut our side of the hedge as well. We pay rather than go out for tenders for another contractor or whatever.
The answer is I have no idea. It's normally been whoever is on which side of the hedge they cut their own. So,
oh, true, yeah. I'm just thinking we'd have to get a contractor in, presumably. It's probably never been done. If they've got a contractor there cutting their side, it might be...
Well, it was done last year, so...
Yeah, the council already has a contractor.
Okay. So is that, are we going to use their contractor, or is that...
So for you, Chair, the Town Council already has a contractor that has a contract to cut back boundary hedges, cut the paths and all those things. So that's already in a contract with the Pelham, with the Social Enterprise Scheme. So they send down a team and then they do regular work in the allotments.
Okay, that's good.
Can I just ask a question?
Of course.
Item 3 on this report on Sidley House states that we had an outstanding invoice to be paid for the conifer trees being trimmed from Council Rother District for last year's 2023 maintenance. They've agreed to pay it and we're still waiting for the payment. Is there any reason for that? I'm asking because I haven't got a clue. But,
I'd have to ask our clerk to update us on that.
Do you mean, is there any reason why they're late paying?
yeah,
I don't know.
right, okay. Would we be permitted, as obviously I'm new to this, to just have a walk around and have a look at it for ourselves, just out of curiosity, so I know what I'm talking about next time? Are we allowed to do that?
Through you, Chair, we can organise an accompanied visit. So we did that with the Climate Committee. So we would book in and we would take you around the site and show you the different aspects.
I think
So because councils aren't able to go there on their own and do
Yes.
that. So if people want to let me know, they want to go for a visit, then I can get a date in the diary and we can take you around.
I would be very interested to do that, because
Yes.
if it's under our jurisdiction, we need to know what we're talking about, and I would greatly benefit for that and appreciate it.
Okay.
So put me on your list.
Councillor Flynn.
I must admit that I went on we had a site visit several months back, and it shocked me the condition of the actual sites that rather the district council had left them in, and we're quite blasé about leaving them like that as well. And the residents there were really, really in a sorry state when they knew that nobody was looking after them. Once we explained what we had planned for them, they were quite buoyed up by that fact. And it's so nice to see that sites that we are clearing and making available on both of these sites are then being taken up. And I think it's a credit to this town council for actually spotting something that has been neglected for years and upgrading it and making it to the benefit of the residents. And I would gladly come along to the next site visit and have a look around.
Okay. Shall we move on to Preston Road ones? Any issues or things you want to talk about on the report? Otherwise, again, it's a general observation that there's tremendous improvement, and interesting that there are more being taken up. Councillor Bill.
Yeah, the item I was going to raise on this was to do with the fencing and the request that we put in to, for higher fencing, which was rejected as it's already 1.8 metres high. It's wooden fencing. Now I know that you can put fencing in up to 2 metres high without planning permission, and the fencing isn't ours, it's Southern Housing owns that fencing. Would we not consider some more robust fencing to go in there, like the aluminium style fencing? Because the more people that start utilising that site, the more unwieldy people will probably try and get into it. And this particular fencing that's in here, the wooden fencing, it's forever been knocked down and broken and by cars going past and people sort of knocking into it, causing problems. I'm just wondering whether we should go ahead and put some fencing alongside there anyway, to our spec, rather than leave it to Southern Housing to look after our boundaries. We should look after our own boundary.
So it does depend upon whose boundary it is, because if you replace someone's fencing, it then comes your sole responsibility.
I didn't say replace it. I said put fencing up. We could quite easily put fencing along our side of the boundary there.
We could. Maybe we could, on the site visit, review it and see what people think.
Good idea.
Because at 1.8 metres, that's a standard height for a fence. You wouldn't normally go above it unless you put something on top of it that you can see through, because there are rules and regulations on it. Did you want to say something, Councillor?
Yeah, sorry, it wasn't on fencing. I thought
that's all right.
It was running out. On the allotment notice boards, some £2,000 each, are they going to be timber ones that need redecorating every year and finishing, or we've got something a little bit more substantial or that will last a little longer without having to be?
It's a good question, because for a notice board on an allotment you can laminate stuff so it doesn't have to be quite as and it is a lot of money to spend. That's £4,000 on notice boards to put the rules and regulations on there and contact details, which we could do by signage. We don't have to have a notice board, so maybe that's another option, is to put signage there and direct them to where they need to go for the rules and regulations, which would be a website, etc., etc. We don't need to have a notice board the same size as what we've got now. Having said that, it would give consistency to all the town council notice boards if they were all the same corporately, with etc., etc.
Yeah.
So
obviously your maintenance costs more than anything. I know the other ones take quite a bit of maintenance.
So can I ask Julie, is that down to this committee to decide what we do with that, or is it already a done deal that
We're not asking for any of this to be done. So these are just suggestions that we put forward after we talk to the National Allotment Society. So we do our reviews, we talk to them about where we're going, and a recommendation that they keep putting forward is that notice boards on allotments are quite important for the people to keep in touch with what's going on. They can put their own posters in, and we can keep in touch with them.
And I guess they could use it to advertise garden events where they're selling off flowers, etc., that other people might be interested in. Okay. Any other comments or observations? Otherwise I'll return the page. We move on to 15B. To note the update on signs being replaced due to damage in Summerhill allotments. Rather sad that a sign in an allotment got damaged, but there we are. That's just for notation. 15B, to note update on Barrack Hall drainage issues being investigated. That's, wasn't there a massive damp area where it was flooding from a house next door or something?
Yeah, a house on the other side of the boundaries had an extension which has caused some severe drainage flooding on a couple of our plots. So it's been referred. We're just waiting to find out from Robert what can be done about it.
And did you all look at the report for Bexhill Family Collective on the allotments? Thought it was very interesting. It was on underneath the attachments on
I think it was absolutely fantastic, the work that's going on there.
Yeah.
And it just shows you with that little bit of encouragement, a little bit of land there, what can be done.
And the children will encourage potentially their parents and grandparents to come along. They may take up other plots as they become available. So, yeah, it's good news. So item 16 is to note the budget for 24-25 for this committee. I don't think there's any conversation around this. This is what this is. There'll be a few little bits because the neighbourhood plan budget is in here and that's now moved to planning, so that can be removed. But the rest is what it is. We've talked about the SIL money and we've considered ring fencing some of that already, which is a significant move. And our first meeting, perhaps we should all think about what other SIL money we want to potentially ring fence in the future, because it is, from my previous committee, sort of not thought that well if you hold on to SIL money unnecessarily long, because SIL is there to improve the infrastructure of the town and should be spent on infrastructure projects. So we have some money that we need to think about what we're going to do with it, and it's for this committee to consider that. So unless anybody wants to pass any comment on the financial state, I think that will all pan out as we move through the year with other things that go on. Agreed? No one's raising their hand, that's good. So item 17, motions from councillors, there are none. Item 18, correspondence. There's an invite from LNRS event East Sussex, Brighton and Hove on the 10th of June at between 6 and 7. Anybody wish to go?
Sorry, but what is LNRS? LNRS.
I knew you were going to ask that. I can't remember. It was something to do with health.
It's the local nature recovery strategy. So central government put into place some legislation that principal authorities need to take action about recovering nature over a period of time. So you may have seen David Dennis's reports the LNRS has referred to, and it's something that he works separately with East Sussex County Council on. And they're now engaging with parish and town councils to get ideas of things that can happen in our parishes.
So realistically, most of what they're going to say to people, David Dennis is already on the case with through the work he's doing for us anyway.
Yeah, so
He's operating separately, so he's the work he's doing for us doesn't include that. So it's really just to engage with councillors to see if you've got ideas of things that they need to cover in the project.
Anybody wish to go on the 10th of June? My diary is full that day, so I can't go. That's looking like a no volunteers, so okay. Item 19, questions from councillors carried forward from last meeting. There were none. To receive questions on future agenda items. Does anybody have any questions for future agenda items? Councillor Clinton.
Yes, I'll refer to the subjects I mentioned earlier on regarding the signage at Normans Bay. Could we please consider looking at putting a boundary signage at Normans Bay?
Okay, thank you.
I have further questions as well.
Yeah, carry on.
Could we consider liaising with East Sussex County Council and the Town Board to renovate the twitlands and footpaths running through Bexhill?
Twitlands and footpaths. Two very distinct differences. I wasn't aware there were any Twitlands in Bexhill.
Oh, there's lots.
Yeah, it's a Sussex name for footpath, basically.
Definition of a twitton is it's a flint walled with a footpath going through the middle of it. We call them twittons, but they have to be by flint walls.
Well, perhaps I was using a colloquial version.
Yeah.
I should have done. I
So-
didn't realise I was
so what-
addressing the
I thought
afternoon.
Twickenham was above.
So walkways and footpaths, also known as twittons. Okay. Okay. This question. Any other questions for the next meeting, please? Otherwise, I will close this meeting at 7:15. The next meeting is the 4th of September. Motion should be received before the 24th of August. Thank you very much.